Resume recording. Here we go. All right. Thanks, Steve. So let's talk about today's agenda. All right. So we're going to talk about you, right, as the lead generator. That's your primary job. The lead generation model itself. How you're gonna work your lead generation system. Your sphere of influence. Have you guys heard that term before? All right. SOI. Sphere of influence. It's the people that that people know you, they would trust you, they'll do business with you, right? What you're going to also do is expand that circle of influence, right? So, or the sphere of influence. So once you get them into your sphere, you want to add more people to it as you're growing your business, right? We're going to talk about lead gen best practices. And again, we're going to get creative. Everyone here is probably going to have some different way of finding business, right? But we're going to stick to our best practices. We'll do a little recap and ahas at the end. We'll also do them while we're going through it. And then we're going to revisit your success plan. Okay. All right. So Gary Keller said this: my fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating. What does that mean to you guys? What do you hear, or what do you see when you read that quote? Don't be shy. I'll call on you if you don't put your hand up.
I'll take a crack at it. So I'm hearing that even though he might have been hesitant to lead generate, that his fear of failing was bigger than that. So he got out there and did it either anyway.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Who has a fear of lead generating? Come on, let's be honest.
I don't have a fear. It's just kind of a hard to get the ball really rolling well.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Give me a little more, Marjorie. What do you mean?
I've been inputting stuff, but then there's like information missing or that kind of thing. So it's just kind of a pain sometimes. But I'm doing it, and that's it's rolling along.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully we'll gain more momentum.
You will. You will. Anybody else? So essentially, Jason hit it right on the head. It's, maybe you're fearful of failure. However, generating income and generating business was greater, right? It took over. So you break through that fear and you get through it and you do it anyway, right? That's essentially what Gary is saying. So here are the 6 core competencies of a business, right? So like I said before, if we went back a couple of slides, we're starting with the lead generation, lead follow-up process. The very first thing you need to do is generate the business, right? You can't go any further until you generate leads, right? And get them into your system. Once you get a lead, then you need to convert them into a client, right? And get them into a contract, or get an appointment with them, right? That's the goal. From there, you're going to want to get them in a contract, start showing either their home that you're selling or a home that they're trying to buy, write the contract, coordinate the sale, get it to closing. And the last one is manage the money, right? So once you get that commission, you want to make sure you're handling it properly, right? Who here, does anyone have a business plan or a P&L for their business, profit and loss, or a way to budget and allocate their monies? Yes or yes? If you don't, I would encourage you to do that. A lot of people, it's very common in our industry. You could generate $500,000 in GCI and still be broke, if you don't manage your money correctly, right? So you got to make sure what's coming in and what's going out. What's coming in is greater than what's going out, right? Okay. So here's some lead generation fears and myths. Do you guys, and these are directly from Gary Keller. Who wants to read one or more? All right, Marjorie.
I think lead generation is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say. Excuse me. I'm afraid of making mistakes.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other ones? I have one. It's just not fun. Right? Lead generation for me is it's just not fun. Yes, Marjorie.
I think it can be kind of awkward,
Hmm.
you know, like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's, go ahead, Brianna.
Kind of to the one of like, I don't know. Can you go back to that slide
Sure.
if you don't mind? Oh, I don't know what to say. Leah, like I fear like someone asking me something that I don't know and like
Mhm.
looking dumb and then they're like, I'm not gonna use her. You know.
What's the prescription for that?
I mean, I guess I could always be like, I don't know, but I'll certainly circle back to you. Why don't you give me your contact information?
Anybody
But I think in the
else?
moment, what's that?
Who else has got a comment on that? I don't know what to say. What do you do? How can you fix that? I don't know what to say.
Sorry, Brianna, I do script practice now.
Bingo.
I just after watching one of these Ignite practices, I looked up some YouTube, so I can send you some if you want. But it's also like I've learned that like I
Yes.
don't really go off of everything they say. Like I've been starting to do like some words that they use, and then half the other words I just kind of make up my own. So, but it's so helpful.
Thanks,
Especially when
Jacqueline.
you're talking with friends too. There's like ones to say to friends and stuff. So it's helpful.
Nice. Thanks. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Jacqueline, that is awesome. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. So it depends on what market center you're in. Some offer script and role play practice daily or weekly or occasionally. Some don't. But there's, like Jacqueline said, there's resources online. So you can Google, whatever on lead generation, like how to have a conversation with a for sale by owner, for example, or an expired listing. You're going to find resources. There's tons of them in KWU. If you guys have taken Bold or intend on taking Bold, there's a ton of Bold scripts as well. And if you're able to, I would find a partner to practice with, right? So when I first started, I had a partner, and well, not first started, it took me a little while to find one, but we would practice every morning at like 8 a.m. and just take 20 minutes and just role play, script and role play back and forth. You're the seller, I'm the agent. Let's practice that conversation, then reverse role. So it's just a good habit to get into. So thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing that. Any other fears that you guys can think of for lead gen?
Well,
So here's where Gary, responded with afterwards. I think lead generation is really difficult. And then he says, hey, I was confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. It's just not fun, right? Which is true. It's easy to pick up the phone and call anybody, right? It may not be fun, but it's easy. I don't have time to lead generate. Who's done this before? All right. You start your day with the intention of lead generation, and then you throw a load of laundry in, and then the phone rings, and then you got to go do this and do that. And then before you know it, it's noon and you've done no lead generation, right? And then you say, oh, I don't have time, I'm too busy. That's not true. You're just not protecting the time that you have, right? I don't know what to say. Jacqueline hit it right on the head. The fix for that is script and role play, right? And master that conversation, whatever the conversation is. Interest rates, high prices in the market, for sale by owners, expireds, whatever it is, whatever the scenario is, practicing those conversations will make the I don't know what to say go away, right? And being afraid of making mistakes. Same concept, right? I mean, we all aren't the greatest when we first start at anything, regardless what it is. Playing baseball, going ice skating, going skiing, I don't care what it is. First time you do it, you're not very good, not very elegant, but the more you practice, the better you are. Do those make sense? Right? Okay. So let's talk about your sphere of influence. You still trying to get this to work?
Yeah. I even have to.
What's that?
It's saying that it can't be my camera.
So let's talk about your sphere of influence for a second. Oops. So how many people here have contacts in their phone? Right, we all do, right? How many people have a place they go to do business with routinely, once a week, once a month? Could be dentist, attorney, CPA, whoever, right? There's places and people that you are in contact with regularly. How many people belong to like a club, like sailing club, golf club, tennis club, whatever, right? Gym, right? There's all these people that you talk to often, right? Those are your people that are in your sphere of influence, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a real quick exercise to show you actually have a lot of money in your phone right now, right? You've got money in there. So let's do this. Grab your phone, right? I don't have an Apple phone or an iPhone, so I don't know where your number of contacts are. But on an Android, it's at the very bottom. So just tell me, just get that. You don't have to tell me, but go to your contacts and tell me how many you got, or write down how many contacts you got in your phone. If you want to shout it out, shout it out. Anybody got a number? I'll share mine.
232.
I'm sorry,
I have 256.
256.
459.
All right,
I have 232.
1,460.
woo, 1,000.
That's been since like middle school, so I don't know about that.
Well, even if you cut it in half, you still got 500 in there. I have 725. And again, I mean, I don't know. I don't know all these people, but regardless. So let's get pencil and paper out, right? So write down that number of how many people you've got in your phone, right? And then you're going to multiply that number by 0.081. All right. Then you're going to take that number and multiply it by 0.10. And then add those two numbers together. You guys with me?
Oh, man.
You didn't know you were doing math today, did you?
Well, I didn't write it down, so.
All right. I should have told you to keep those numbers. All right, let me know when you guys get your total potential there. Who knows the average commission in their market center? You guys know that number?
7,069.
What's that?
I was told 7,069.
There you go. There's one.
Done.
Anybody else know their number? Andrea, what's our number here?
I want to say like 4,800, maybe a little higher.
Oh, it's gotta be more than that.
No, it's
Maybe.
closer to 7,000.
7,000, yeah. All right, you guys with me?
Yeah,
All right, so write your average commission. Now multiply it by that number, that total potential. What does it look like? Who had 1,000? You gotta have like some crazy number.
I have 71,057 and 570.9.
Okay, Jacqueline, you had 1,000, right? What's your number look like?
My number was 130,
130,000?
just 130.
Oh,
So
okay,
wait, so you do the contacts times 0.081,
yep, write that
And
number
then-
down.
and then you use that number and then times it by 0.1, correct?
You do. What's your, let's say, I'll do mine with you guys. Oh, let's do this exercise right here. You take 250, right? And multiply it times 0.081.
Okay.
And you get that 20 number, right? And then you do the same thing, 250 times 0.10. And you get 25, right? You add those two numbers together.
250. Oh,
Yeah, see?
my number
That's-
changed. Okay, I
Yep,
have
now it'll
12,
change.
I have 1,251 contacts, so
Okay,
times 0.8 plus the 1,251 times 0.10 equals, oh, that's different. Then you add that with the first number.
so I use Steve's number for 7,000 in our market center. So with 750 people in my database at $7,000 average commission, I have $945,000 of potential income in my phone. Crazy, right? Anybody else got numbers?
Now I just went up to 101,000.
Okay, so you got 100,000 potential there. $100,000 in potential income, 100,000 in your phone. That's incredible, right? You guys agree?
Yes.
Right? You know people.
I actually did something different yesterday. I have to leave in a couple of minutes because I have a lead. The other day when we were on the phone Friday, I actually went through my Facebook and all of my contacts, I made a flyer saying I can sell and buy your house, did a picture, contact me with my number very huge across it, and asked all my contact people to post it on their Facebook.
Awesome.
And then I went through and some of those contacts, I went through into their contacts, posted it. So I ended up getting some leads this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anyone else that could do that? Jacqueline's smiling. Yeah, go ahead, Marjorie.
Oh, no, I'm just agreeing. I've already been starting working on the Facebook stuff. but-
Okay, good. I can't see what, someone else had a question? I can't see who they are. Okay. All right, so just that little exercise with your phone, right, gives you an idea of just those contacts, but you're right. If you expand that out to your social media contacts, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, there's probably even more people out there. I'm sure you got duplicates, but I'm sure there's a lot more people out there that aren't in your phone that you're also connected to on social media, right? So there's income outside of there as well. So thank you for pointing that out, Monica. That's awesome. And I love what you did there. That's great. That's a great way to promote yourself and get some leads going, right?
Yep, I'm gonna
Mhm.
actually head out now. So take care.
All right,
guys.
thank you. All right, so you guys have any questions about that little exercise?
So, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
I'm gonna watch the chat and I'm gonna sit next to
You want to put it on the screen?
you. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. You know, it'll be too complicated.
What?
It'll be too complicated.
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. We're just having a little sidebar. Andrea can't get her camera working, so she's gonna slide over next to me.
This is Ed.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that.
Hello?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so with your phone contacts, what you're saying is essentially that it's a good idea to keep in touch with people. And that's by periodically calling and, because if you have someone in a contact in your phone, you may never have spoken to that person. So, it's probably a good idea to kind of weed through everybody and see if you can find some leads that way.
Yeah, so that's potential income. Who knows what you'll actually get out of it, right? But like, for example, I have 945,000 potential. I'll take half of that. I'll take a quarter of that. You know what I mean? Same thing with social media. I may not know everyone intimately, but they're a contact. So eventually I can make that happen, right? All right. So your sphere of influence is your database. Who here is using Command to manage their contacts? All right, good. So that's really, that is your gold mine, right? That's where you're going to want to spend a lot of time putting that information there. Is anyone here doing the 201, the race to 201 or the growth pre? We'll come back to that later on. Just remember that, okay? But your database is really, really where you want to be, putting your information. Steve has a funny story about, can you share your story about the sticky note with Val?
As long as you don't tell her I'm still using it.
I won't tell her.
Sean and I have this friend named Val, who refused to use Command because she had this method of writing someone's information down on a sticky note, usually in her car. She usually do this in her car, and she would just stick the thing on her dashboard, so that when she finally got into the office, she would enter it into her email database. And one day she's driving me somewhere in her car and she finds this sticky note stuck to her shoe from like a month earlier. She calls the guy. He's already sold his house. She never called him back. He just moved on and found another realtor. And at the time, I just said, that's $5,000 right out the window. Had she spent 2 minutes and taken her phone and put the person into Command, it would have told her, call this guy. So don't be a Valerie.
Thank you, Steve. Have you ever had that happen to you? I've had it happen to me too, where I didn't put someone in my database and I forgot to follow up with them because I wouldn't think of it because they're not in front of my face, and have them list with somebody else,
No, but more in a different light, just neglecting to follow up, not that immediate thing. I haven't had that happen, but I've seen in my database without touching them on a consistent basis. Yeah, that's where it's lost. So same thing, a little different delayed reaction.
Yep. So today's focus honestly is to get people in your database. We're going to work in the next few weeks about how to grow it and interact and feed it and take care of people, right? Because the goal is to be top of mind all of the time, right? So when you've got someone in your sphere and someone they're talking to mentions real estate, you want them to say, oh, real estate, call Sean, right? That's the goal, right? Or have those people directly, give you business. So indirectly or directly, you want a database of raving fans, right? That's the goal. All right. So,
and if I could just bounce in for a second, I think it might have been Marjorie that mentioned this. it's okay to not have all their information at the first contact. If you have their name and phone number, put that in the database. As time goes on, you can glean more information from them. You can find out what their cell phone number is. You can find out what
Yeah.
their email address is.
I've been doing that just to have at least something in, and then go back and kind of pick away at it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and in subsequent classes where they start teaching how to use a smart plan, there are smart plans that will assist you in getting that missing information.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right, so let's just take a minute to talk about any ahas. Anybody have any ahas for that first section? So we talked about fear of lead generation, how much potential you've got in your phone or social media.
Hey, it's Christina. I'm in
Hey, Christina.
Greater Hartford. For me, I just need to recognize that I'm not going to start, I'm not going to start my lead gen sessions all excited. But I do find that once I start chatting with people, I do enjoy it. This is actually my first Monday. I decided to start the week with lead gen, like right away. And you get that momentum going. And I feel like once you get that momentum going, it's easier to keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Create a vision board. And have that on your desk when you get ready to lead gen. So when you start to say, this sucks, I hate doing this, and you look at your dreams and desires on that vision board, yeah, I can go back and do this for another hour.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Jacqueline?
I just thought it was pretty cool of your sphere of influence income opportunity. I also had, just so everyone knows, I did start the race Grand Prix. So I do know how to put your contacts from your phone onto commands. I can send that YouTube if anyone wants me to. But it was definitely
Yeah, sure. Throw it in the chat if you got the link.
I took that class and I downloaded the template and everything, and then I couldn't get them to down my contacts in.
A great resource is Marty Miller. He's
Marty.
on YouTube. I don't know if that's the
Yep.
the video.
Marjorie, which market center are you in?
Keene Metropolitan.
And who's your tech trainer up there?
Um,
I think it's Marilyn Burke.
the only person who's helped me is Jesse Carpenter, but
I'll check and see who it is and have them reach out to you.
okay.
There you go. Christina, do you have something else, or you left your hand up? Okay, gotcha.
And I just want to read this one comment to everybody that Kaylee threw into the chat in case you haven't seen it. And it's pretty basic. You miss 100% of the shots you don't make.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a quote from Wayne Gretzky.
That's a good one. So Steve's vision board is a good example of how to push yourself through the motivation thing, right? Make sure you do your lead gen. Everyone may have a different strategy. So it depends on what it is, whatever works for you. Maybe you like to go for a run, get your head straight, do some yoga, whatever it is, to get yourself in that mindset of positivity. I like to listen to gangster rap and get myself all cranked up. I know it's funny, but I'll show you. I have this on my desk. You guys see that?
Yeah. What is this again? Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's how I get my day going, right? I want to make sure
Sean,
that I'm
you wild man, you.
right. But anyway, whatever it is that gets you jazzed up, gets you in that positive mindset, just do that. And when I first started doing like cold calling, I would literally call my mom or my sister first, right? Because I know it's going to be an easy conversation, and just start going from there, right? So anyway, you'll come up with your own strategy at some point. Anybody else have any ahas on that? All right, so let's get into the next section. which is the lead generation model, itself, right? So we talked about you as the lead generator. Now we're going to talk about, the model. Here's typically what, the lead generation looks like. So you want to, I like using a funnel, but we've got a sphere here, so we'll just go with it. So the top part of it is capturing leads, or the lead generation itself, right? So leads, who knows what a lead is, or who can define what a lead is? Anybody got any ideas?
I think someone, I like what someone said earlier, someone who is going to potentially give you some real estate business.
Yep. Okay. So you want to, all of these leads are floating around there, right? Whoever they are. Oops. All right. So lead generation is the first part of it. So it's two things. It's prospecting and marketing, right? There's a difference between those two. Anybody have any ideas? Prospecting versus marketing?
One is reaching out and the other is trying to get people to come to you.
Yeah, I call it passive and active, right? So passive would be, so here's a good, a good description of it. So the top half above the dotted line, that's marketing. It's more passive, right? So it's social media posts or sending mailers or putting your business card at your favorite salon or whatever it is, right? So you're branding yourself and wanting business to come to you, right? Versus prospecting is more, you're going after it, right? So a good example of prospecting would be calling for sale by owners, right? You're taking the activity, the action to go and find business. Any other examples of either passive or active or prospecting versus marketing? Andrea?
So calling your sphere, I don't want to, no, definitely calling your sphere, open houses, doing something that, maybe an event, customer appreciation, anything that physically is getting you in front of people. So.
Yep.
They're time intensive. It takes time to go to an open house. It takes time to prepare for the open house. And then after the fact, you're following up on the people that are coming from those. Your results usually are immediate because you're having a two-way conversation at that point. And that's the difference between the lead and the contact. The lead is just somebody with the pulse.
Exactly.
And your contacts are people that have engaged with you and said that they may have an interest in a real estate transaction at some point.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing with prospecting and marketing is you need to be doing both all of the time, right? You can't just go with one strategy. You got to have multiple strategies going on to keep your business from the roller coaster, right? Of I got business, then I don't have business, right? So you want more of a straight line, right? So if you're constantly doing activities on both the prospecting and marketing side, you can level out your business. Okay, so let's talk about your database, right? So you've got all of these leads out there, you got the prospect and the marketing going on. Now you're going to want to put those people into your database and put them in the right section. So to what Andrea was saying earlier, a lead could be anybody. A lead is just really a one-way conversation, right? Initially. So maybe someone referred you to somebody, or you met somebody at Starbucks in line and you start having a conversation with them, right? That's a lead. A contact is someone you've had a two-way conversation with, right? So now you're gauging their interest. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So a database is really where you want to put these people and start to categorize them. Are they a lead or are they a contact, right? And then from there, depending on who they are, that's how you're going to interact with them. So for example, let's say I've got a lead. This person saw my sign somewhere, went on my website and filled out a form, right? I don't know them. I've never spoken to them. I have no idea who they are. They left the name Mickey Mouse. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they put on their form, right? I'm sure you guys have seen that before. But anyway, it's someone I don't know. I've never had a conversation with them. When I pick up the phone and call them, now I can turn them into a contact, right? So I forgot who was saying earlier, you don't have all their information on their, on their contact info. That's fine. That's how you build a relationship, right? Now I have their name, I've got their email. Once I have a conversation, I'm going to grab more information from them. You guys with me? So a lead, I've never met them, no idea what's going on with them. Contact is someone who I've had a two-way conversation with and start to qualify them. Okay?
Sean, there was a question in from Christina. Command has the button you can select to make them a lead. When is the best time to make someone a lead in Command?
You know what, Steve, do you have an answer to that one? I don't use
Yes.
Command that way.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right, perfect.
Basically, a lead is someone that you have contact information on, but you have not had a conversation with them yet. So they responded, as Sean said, they found your website, they registered, or someone gave them a copy of your phone app and they registered. So you have them in the database, you have no idea what they're doing. So lead status puts them into in a separate category that will show up at the top of your list when you want to go in and clean up, your database. So a lead shows up with a special notation, and they will stay in that status until you've had that conversation, and then you go in and physically remove the lead label.
Okay,
Now-
I was actually doing the opposite. I thought labeling them as lead meant that I had actually started communicating with them, or there was that potential there or something.
No, it's the other way around. I go to your website, I register, you have no idea who the hell I am. I might have just been going out looking to see, the house across the street went up for sale. How much are they asking for it? So you don't know if I want to buy or sell, or if I'm very happy where I am. Once you've had that two-way conversation, either on the phone or via text or via email, where you've both, where you've introduced yourself and they've responded back, then you take them off lead status, because now aha, Sean came into my database. He's thinking about buying, but he's not really sure yet. Let me get him on on a smart plan that will kind of coax him along the way.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's another way, if I can chime in, of the measurement tools from your social media posts too. So you can track the leads that are generated from those posts. And it's a internal way for Command when you post your social post through Command, which you'll learn about coming up. That's why they automatically will come in as a lead.
Yep. All right. Does that help, Christina? Perfect. So part of that two category there, the leads and contacts, that's where you're gonna, be talking with them and qualifying them and understanding what they're looking to do with real estate, buy, sell, invest, whatever it is. And as you're having more conversations or putting them on smart plans, you're going to get more knowledge about them and what they're looking for. All right. So that's what that middle section is about, is really to work with these leads and turn them into contacts. So then you can get contracts, leads, contracts, right?
Okay, Sean, if I can interrupt for a second.
Absolutely.
We have a question in the chat from Jasmine saying, but where do we get the numbers from? I'm not from Massachusetts. I just moved here.
I don't understand.
Telephone numbers? Is that the question?
I think that's what she means. Yes.
Yes. All right. So some market centers provide you access to phone numbers. Some do not. There are third-party services like RedX, Mojo, LandVoice, Coal Directory that you can purchase lists from them. Does that help? Okay,
Yes, she says thank you.
perfect.
I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes, sir.
When you purchase from these sites, are they in compliance with do not call? So they won't have any numbers on there that will be on the do not call list or do not contact list. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you for bringing that up, Jason. Yes, so all of these systems are supposed to be compliant with the do not call registry. The last time I
However,
used.
it
Go ahead.
doesn't hurt to check.
I know the last time I used, I think it was Mojo, they had a checkbox to select. You could turn it on or off, whether you wanted a DNC compliant list or not. Okay. Oops. So relationship management, I mean, this is where you're gonna like I said, try and convert them from a lead to a contact. And then, here are the various ways to communicate with people, right? So we all know what these are, right? We all know what's more effective, right? So a text message versus a face-to-face conversation, two totally different things, right? How many people have misinterpreted a text message before? Right? Happens all the time. You can misinterpret a face-to-face conversation, but I think the odds are a lot lower, right? Because you can read body language and tone and all of that stuff. Email or text or any of that stuff, you really can't. So anyway, these are the various ways to communicate with people, to convert them from from a lead to a contact, right?
Sean, we've got a question. Could you repeat the name of those phone list providers?
Sure. Mojo, RedX, LandVoice, Cold Directory. Those are the ones I know of. There are probably other ones as well. Those are the ones I'm most familiar with. I believe, I don't know what Mass MLS PIN has, but Rhode Island MLS also has RPR and Remind, where you can grab numbers from as well.
Are those things that you have to pay for, or you just get them as a benefit?
You have to pay for. So Rhode Island MLS has Remind and RPR. They're free services up to a certain point, and that point is when you need to get phone numbers, and then you got to pay. LandVoice and all of those other guys, they're just data providers, so they provide data. That's all they do. So the last part of the system here is the client referral loop, right? So you've captured a lead, you've qualified the lead, you've then made them a contact, right? Now you know where they want to be and what they want to do. At some point, you're going to have a contract with that person, right? Whether they're a buyer or a seller, whatever it is, and you're going to close business with them, or they may refer you business, either way, but you're going to get some business going. And then what you want to do is rinse and repeat, right? So like I said earlier, you want your database to be full of raving fans. So someone says real estate, your name just comes naturally out of their mouth, right? You guys with me? So you want to make sure that that referral loop stays tight. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. Everyone's got a different strategy, whether they go do pop buys, and drop gifts off at people's houses, or have like a client event where people come to you. There's all different ways to stay in touch with people.
And that's the key word, is touch. So you're touching them in many different ways. And when you get into Command, there'll be different plans, smart plans and things like that to touch people with, whether, like Sean said, it's a phone call, client event. So, and there's different systems for those touches. You can do, a 36 touch, 19 and 36 to convert.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So, but the point is that you want to, start your conversations with a, hey, how are you? Or an introduction, if it's a passive mailer, things like that. What's about you? You're unique. So you want to touch them in the ways that you want to be talked to. You're not always selling.
Yep.
And the point being that this loop is that they come to you and they think of you when you're not even thinking of real estate sometimes. So I've been in different social settings and they'll come right over to you after you've established your knowledge and you've come from a place where they know who to go to for that information. They'll bring up the conversation. That's one of the first things out of people's mouths. If you tell them a realtor, hey, what's they say? How's the market? Right?
How's the
So-
market? Exactly. And just to tag on to that point, you never want to allow a yes or no answer to that, right? So if they say, how's the market? And you say it's great. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just,
It means nothing, right? You want to come back and ask them a question. Oh, I'm curious why you're asking me that. You're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Depends. My answer is going to depend on, what you're looking to do, right? Make sense? Okay. So the referral loop is really super, super important. And like Andrea said, there's so many different ways to stay top of mind. And your relationships with people are very different. I have a one referral person. She must have referred me a dozen deals over the past couple of years. She refuses to take any gifts. Refuses. I can't give her anything. So I have to slyly do it. I have to mail her like a gift card or something. She won't go out for coffee. I can't take her to dinner, nothing. So she's just one of
You're
those
lucky.
people.
Well,
So yeah, it depends on who they are and what they like. You'll get to know that after you work with them for a while. Okay. All right. So putting it all together. So lead generation, it never ends. So this is a daily activity for you, right? You're going to run through your database every single day. Time blocking, who's familiar with time blocking and the concept of it? Yeah, okay. Super, super, super important. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, at least it isn't for me. Some people are really good at it. But if it's on your calendar, you'll typically do it. If it's not on your calendar, you typically won't, right? That's just the way life is. And I don't know who said it earlier, but who said that they were starting their week with lead gen? Was it Christina? Right? So you ever hear of the book called Eat Your Frog First? You're on
Sorry,
You're
say
on-
that again. I missed it.
eat your frog first.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog first, right? So you want to do the thing that is most distasteful first, right? So if it's going to the gym, for example, like, I got to go to the gym. If you do it in the morning, you're more likely to go versus waiting till the end of the day to do it, right? At least for most people. Similarly, a lot of people like to do their lead generation in the morning because it's a thing they don't like to do the most, right? So get it out of the way. Just get it over with, right? Eat your frog first. And then the size of your database really determines the size of your business, right? So it's a numbers game. The more contacts and leads and whatnot you've got in your database, the greater potential income you have. Does that make sense? Okay.
And your lead gen doesn't always have to be in the morning. It's just
Mhm.
important that you time block it. I've switched things up a little bit and started doing some lead gen in the later afternoon hours. People are home if you're making calls. Your social media posts might be more effective first thing in the morning, but if you're making calls, even in the later in the afternoon, in the post 6 o'clock, you'd be surprised at how many people are, you shoot a text quick first, and then all of a sudden they picked up the phone and they're calling you. Hey, I'm so glad they're off of their whatever 9 to 5 that they've had. And now they're on their a little bit more relaxed about, and they're fed.
True.
And if you get them in that like 4 to 6, sometimes they're not going to chat your ear off. They're going to, because they're doing, maybe picking the kids up, maybe doing, whatever errands they have to run before they get home and settle in for the evening. And then they'll at least say, hey, thanks for the call. I gotta let you go. So you don't get stuck and you can make more calls than you would if you had, you had a Saturday morning where they're just yik yak and they want to talk and because that can be a time waster. You got to be very careful about that.
Good point. Good point. All right, so anybody else, any ahas from that section about your database and moving people from leads to contacts?
We had two questions in the chat from Christina.
Yeah.
One is, how late will you lead gen and what time will you start?
So for me, I start around 8:30-ish, 9-ish, and I won't call typically after 7. Anybody else?
I think it's really what you feel comfortable with. But if you're going on the theme, eat the frog, you've got to eat that frog at some point during the day.
Mhm.
So it's just get it done. And you feel so much better after you've had those conversations, and your conversion rates you'll be able to start to measure your conversion rates of how many calls you need to make.
Mhm.
And then we'll talk about that later, but I think it's, if it's 9 to 11 works for you, then do it.
Hey, Marjorie, you got a question?
No, just a quick comment. If you mark them like call early morning, call whatever,
Oh, the lead or the contact?
you could, yeah, contact, you could just group them.
Okay, that's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Now, one other thing you want to do is when you make that 9 o'clock in the morning phone call, ask them, is this a convenient time to chat? And if they say, no, I'm really better in the afternoon, make a note of that. So when you're going to call that person back later on in your call cycle, you'll call, okay, I've got to call these 5 people after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep. Can I share my strategy for time blocking? You guys mind? So I, like Andrea said, I typically don't do it all in the morning. My schedule kind of varies. But the way I've broken my week up is there are certain days where I do certain things. So for example, and I'm using the frog method a little bit here, is Mondays is when I'll typically call FSBOs and expireds because they're the most difficult conversations to have, right? Or they're the most difficult people to have a conversation with. That's probably a better way of saying it. So I do that hard stuff the first day, Monday, a little bit of Tuesday, right? And then Tuesday, I'm calling my sphere. Wednesday, I'm calling my business partners. Thursdays, I'm doing a lot of follow-up. And then Friday, I'm going back probably to FSBOs and expires just to end my week, right? So that's typically the way my work week goes. And sometimes I'll have an afternoon block to do follow-ups. So it all depends, right? But I typically that's the way I schedule my week.
Mhm.
Everyone's different, right? Okay. Cool. All right, so let's move on to your sphere, right? And expanding your sphere, right? So, have you ever heard your tribe is your vibe, right? Or your vibe is your tribe, right? So people that you, and I touched on this earlier, people that see you and know you, even if they're outside of your initial like family and friends that see you routinely, if you share the same kind of values, for example, they're more likely to do business with you. So where am I going with this? If let's say you go to the same gym as other people, you take a yoga class together, a spin class, or whatever it is, you kind of start talking, you share something common already. You agree?
Yep.
Right? Maybe you volunteer at a homeless shelter. Maybe you volunteer for a school, whatever it is, you're on the PTA. There's all different like little social networks that you belong to where you guys are sharing something in common, right? They're more likely going to trust you just based on the fact that you share this common thing, right? It's human nature. Do you guys agree with me? Agree, right? So this is another way of building your sphere, right? Bringing people into your world a little closer. Does anyone do any of those like networking kind of things and talk to people at the gym or supermarket or the dentist or any of that stuff? Are you guys doing that currently? Yes, I
Or do we
assume.
look at the phone? And wish that we weren't sitting in the doctor's office
Right.
or wherever it
People
is
that
you
pla-
are.
People at Planet Fitness don't talk. It's like everybody just,
Yeah.
it's like, I've never seen a gym like it. It's unreal.
I think sometimes it's too, it's a little harder for people in the Northeast. We're not as cheery and friendly. My husband was born in California and raised in the Midwest.
Okay.
He talks to everybody and knows everybody. And so, but that's something that you kind of have to overcome if you're going to be in real estate. It can't be, if you're going to the Starbucks or the Dunkin' or wherever you're going and you see that same person every single time, introduce yourself.
Yep.
Your letter carrier, nobody gets papers anymore. But it's just one of those things where sometimes we can be introverts and want to stay in our own lane. But now's not the time, especially when you're building your business.
Yeah, exactly. So Brian, it's funny that you mentioned Planet Fitness. There's an agent in our office that has done a ton of business out of Planet Fitness. She started wearing like a realtor hat or a realtor sweatshirt or something. And then over time, people went to her
Yeah.
and started asking her questions.
Yeah,
So-
wear your name tag when you go shopping.
Mhm.
Yes, some
Well,
people will
Yeah.
think you're working at that store, but a lot of other people will actually read the damn name tag before they say, where are the winter coats?
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of gear out there too, and almost bumper sticker stuff. But t-shirts that have, conversation starter. What's that? Keller Williams has a lot of that, but conversation starters. You don't have to be sell all the time. Hi, I'm a realtor. You don't want that kind of approach, but
Mm-mm.
whatever comes naturally to you.
Yeah, and what Andrea had said earlier is honestly, for the most part, people come up to you once they know you're a realtor, and they'll want to know what's going on in the market.
I know, and
right?
sometimes it's kind of annoying because you want to be at that party and have fun and relax, and then all of a sudden you're talking about work.
Right?
But if you truly enjoy what you do, it's not work,
Yeah,
and it just becomes part of the daily conversations.
exactly. All right, so here are some ideas for people that you don't think but you do know, right? So clearly family, friends, relatives, neighbors, those are probably people you talk to, often. But then you start going down the list and there are probably people that you have a relationship with that you don't even realize, right? Because it's just, oh, I see this person every once in a while, right? Those are the people you want to start to, bring into your circle, right? Slowly, however you want to do it. Are there any other categories you guys can think of other than what's on the screen? I can't see the bottom.
Small business owners,
Yeah,
your children, your grandchildren's friends, your kids' teachers, everybody.
how many of you guys have children in youth sports? That's a great, you're there already, right? For an hour, 2 hours, however, whatever the sporting thing is. Why not have conversations, Like Andrea said, you could, let's say your daughter is a gymnast, mine happens to be, and those meets are forever, right? So I could stay on my phone for a few hours, or I can go start talking to people, right? I probably do a little of both, to be honest.
They're like, here comes Sean again. Oh, no.
Yeah. I once handed out business cards at a funeral, so I am not shy.
Well, you're one step ahead of me because I was going to several wakes. It just was a horrible situation a couple of years in a row.
Uh-huh.
And then my family got to be like, Andrea, are you going to get any more leads from that wake? I did not bring my business cards. They came to me. Again, they come to you. They're
They
like,
came,
"Oh,
yeah, they came to me and I handed them my card.
right."
Yeah.
So. good for you.
But yeah, so there's things, you're in situations all the time where you could be having conversations, right? And maybe you are already, and this is a great way to network and build your business, right? That's the point. So why don't we just take a few minutes and just write down, any categories you can think of where you want to categorize your people. Like Steve is the master at tags and command, right? And tagging in command is really a good way of keeping people in your groups. So for example, I coach soccer. I love soccer. I have a group of people that I tag soccer, right? So if there's a match this weekend, I could go into my database, grab all of my soccer people and send them an email saying, hey, Man U versus Liverpool Saturday, I'm going to be at such and such at noon, first beers on me, right? That sort of thing. You could do the same with your categories. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Steve, you have any other suggestions on that?
I tag for the demographics of the people that are going to live in the house that people are going to buy or sell. I tag for their occupation, for their hobbies. I tag for what I call their temperature. Are they hot, warm, or cold? I tag for when they closed on a deal. You know, it becomes important when you're marketing to these people, because you don't want to be throwing up real estate every time you talk to them. So, you know, so if I know that, you know, Sean's into soccer and there's a soccer event coming up, he gets the message that says, hey, there's a big soccer event this weekend. You know, I'll be there. Hopefully we'll run into each other. Or if I know that Andrea's into running, and hey, there's a road race next Saturday. I'll be waving on, you know, this street corner. Hope to see you there. Just, it helps to set you up as the expert. So when someone has a question about something, it's like, oh, call my friend Andrea. She's a realtor. She knows everything.
About everything.
Everything
Yes.
about everything.
Everything about everything. Andrea even picked the color of my house for me.
But
That's
she
how
can't
good she
get her
is.
video camera to work, for crying out loud.
Well, that's because you're supposed to check this stuff out the night before.
Oh, well,
Good
I
point.
was too busy lead generating.
Okay. So, yeah, so one more thing on what Steve just said. So one thing I started to do recently is when I have conversations with people, I'll tell them, I'm your resource from mailbox or front of the house to your back fence, right? So if there's anything you need between the front of your house and the back fence, call me. Painter, plumber, electrician, landscaper, roofer, the value of your home, tax appraisal, whatever it is, I'm your resource. I can help you out. Right? So that way you're not just offering them to sell or buy or whatever real estate, you're a general resource, right? So to Andrea's point, when someone says, hey, I'm looking for a painter, great, I got one for you, right? Or I need an electrician, or I need a plumber, or I need a this or that, or hey, my tax valuation, my appraisal just doubled, right? My taxes just went up, what's going on? You know, that sort of thing. If you can be that resource, they're going to call you for all that stuff. And eventually someone's going to want to do a transaction with you, either them directly, or they're going to say, hey, this guy knows like everybody, you got to call him. Like he knows everything about all sorts of real estate stuff, right?
Yeah, and it can work in reverse too. If you're calling someone in your sphere, and you may not be asking for their business directly, but saying, hey, you know what, I need a great electrician in your area. Can you refer me to anybody that you know? I'm trying to build out my list. The guys that I have are just too busy. I mean, good luck finding an electrician that can come in a reasonable amount of time anyways, right?
Yeah. All right, is that helpful, guys? Right, so there are people that you encounter all the time. You want to put them in the right category so that way you can market to them or have conversations appropriately, right? Or more effectively, that's probably a better way of putting it, right? Because like Steve said, you don't want to be just regurgitating real estate all of the time. You're a person just like them. They want to see that side of you, right? Okay. So sphere of influence day by day. So this was my placeholder for the growth prix, right? So in our region, we're doing this growth prix, which is, what was the stat? This was from KW International, right?
219, if you have 201 contacts in your phone database, wherever in your database, then it would generate 119,000
Correct.
in GCI.
Correct. So the study is if you've got 201 good contacts, meaning you've got name, email, home anniversary date, address, right? All of that stuff. And you routinely interact with them, whether it's a 36 touch plan or whatever the strategy is. The average income for that agent would be about 119,000 in GCI, just based on those 201 contacts, right? And so what the growth pre is about is, 201 sounds like it could be an overwhelming number. What the growth pre is doing is breaking it down week over week. So you're only like concentrating on groups of 20 to 30, each week, right? So get those 20 or 30 people, get all of their information, right? Make them a full contact and then start marketing to that group, right? Next week, do the same thing. The following week, do the same thing. So after a 5 or 6 week period, you've got 201 or more good contacts that you're having two-way conversations with. Does that make sense? Okay. And even outside of the growth pre, you want to be building your database every single day, right? So for example, going back to the, your vibe is your tribe or your tribe is your vibe. If you're routinely running into someone at your yoga class and you're having conversations, you want to get them into your database at some point, right? Name, phone number, right? You're going to start building. So every single day you should be working on your sphere and getting people into your database.
And once they get in there, you've got to maintain them.
Mhm.
Things change. Emails change.
Emails change,
Yep.
relationships change,
Yep.
Everything changes.
Yep.
Yep.
An important thing to remember on that, keeping the contact going. Every time the NAR does a study, and one of the questions they ask is, will you use that realtor again? And 80 to 90% of the people always say, yes, I will.
Mhm.
But in reality, less than 20% do because they lose contact.
Yep.
Another big mistake a lot of realtors make is they use these automated programs that every month sends a message out, and they don't realize that 100,000 other agents across the country are sending out that exact same message. People start to get numb to it. They see it, they don't even open it, they delete it, which is why it's important to get that personal communication going. So that, I know that, Marjorie wants to, Marjorie knows about this kind of stuff, and she's going to, if I'm looking for an electrician, I can call Jackie because she's always got 3 or 4 people to refer to me. That's the kind of a relationship you want to build with your database, so that, you're thinking of selling your house? Boy, you got to call my friend Steve. Here's his phone number. He's great. He'll take care of you.
Mhm.
And that,
Yep.
amazingly, that happens.
Does happen.
Mhm.
So let's we're going to take like 5 minutes, right? So think about your day yesterday from the time you woke up till the time you went to bed, right? How many people did you talk to? And how many of those people are in your database? Exclude your family, that sort of thing, right? Was there anyone that you spoke to that could potentially be in your database?
More than you think. More than you think.
Like if you really think about it, like who you talked to, encountered yesterday, right? Supermarket, wherever you went, right? Did you have a conversation? And could they be in your database? Anybody agree? Is there opportunity? Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So has anyone here taken Bold? Any of you guys taken Bold? Christina?
Mhm.
Andrea has, I have, Steve has, we all have, a few of us have. So one of the Bold laws is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right? What does that mean to you?
That no,
Perspective.
Perspective. Yep. Anybody else?
Along the side, I think it's along the lines of mindset.
Definitely mindset. Yep.
Using affirmations to, get over your fears and things that might be blocking you.
Anybody else?
well, for Sean, it's going to any kind of wake or a funeral.
There's an opportunity. It's not a sad time. The way I see this is, I always put it like everyone who knows a negative person in there,
We all know.
right?
Yeah.
We all know somebody, or maybe more than one person, who's always negative, right? That's a choice. That's a choice, right? You choose to think that way, right? So who has had this happen before? You got your day planned out, right? Everything looks great. And then you go out to your car and you get a flat tire, right? Has that ever happened?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you can allow that flat tire to ruin your day, or you can change the way you look at it, right? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I have a flat tire.
Mhm.
Let me call AAA.
Mhm.
While AAA is coming, I'm gonna start making some phone calls,
Right,
right?
right.
Or I'm gonna start texting people, or whatever I'm gonna do.
Right.
But that one little thing is not gonna ruin my day.
No, could have saved your life,
Could save my life.
right?
Exactly.
You might have been 15 minutes later than that tractor trailer coming right.
Exactly. But to your point, it's perspective, right? So you can allow something to throw you off the rails, or look at it and say, hey, this is an opportunity to do something different, right? Or I'm gonna take a different approach, whatever it is. Would you agree with that? Yeah, and this is a mindset business, right? If you're thinking, oh, this for sale by owner is never going to want to talk to me, they're just gonna beat me up. You know what? More than likely, that's probably gonna happen, right? Because you're already putting it out there. But if you say, hey, I'm gonna have a great conversation with this person, maybe you will or maybe you won't, but at least your mindset is already there, right? Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Let's just keep doing this. All right. So any ahas on that concept? Not just the bowl law, but all of it, right? So you want to, what, bring people into your sphere? Right? You want to categorize them? You want to have a proper mindset, right, to have those conversations? Anything else?
I've heard the name tag thing for a while now, and I've been reluctant to try it, but I'm gonna try it for a few weeks and see how it goes.
The name tag?
Yeah, I'm using my Keller Williams name tag wherever I go. I've worn like the real estate t-shirts, and those are nice, but maybe having the name there will be, I don't know,
Sure.
extra something.
I
One
do
thing
want
that-
to warn against signs on your car. Be careful when you put signs on your car. Yes, when you're parked in a parking lot, it's a great little promotional piece. When you cut someone off on the highway and your phone number is now in their face, they will call you and scream at you.
How's
We had
my
an a-
driving?
We have an agent who is a terrible driver and could not understand why people were calling and yelling at her for cutting them off.
Oh my God.
She had the sign on the back of her SUV saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, the realtor. Here's my phone number. Call me. So be careful how you use car signs, especially if you're not the best driver in the world.
That's funny. I had no idea. I can see that though. One thing that worked for me pretty well is I bought a skin for the back of my laptop to put on the cover.
Mhm.
And I routinely would go to the same coffee place 3 or 4 days a week at pretty much the same time. And kind of the same thing, like people got to know me because I was familiar, right? I would be there Tuesday through Thursday, whatever it was. And just by doing that, people started to ask me questions. I didn't have to go looking. They were like, oh, you're a realtor. What's going on with the market? Or, oh, I got this or I got that. They were asking me, for advice.
Mhm.
So just that simple, thing of, again, routine, right? And having a little bit of a visual. And like I said about the Planet Fitness thing, same thing. She wore a sweatshirt or a hat and one thing turned to another and it's Paula. She's gotten a ton of
Oh,
business out of there.
Yeah, her
You know?
business is really taken off.
Yeah, her business is really
Yep.
taking off.
Yep.
Because she was a familiar face, they saw her, they were comfortable.
Yep.
And then, they approached her with questions. And I agree, Brian. If I'm at Planet Fitness, I don't want to have a conversation with anybody. That's just the way I am. Headphones in, leave me alone. I'm doing my thing. But other people like to chat, so it all depends. Any other ahas or anything that you can think of implementing in your business after that little discussion? Okay. All right, let's move on. So now we're at expanding your sphere. We kind of talked about it a little bit, now we want to get people that you kind of sort of know and get them into your sphere, right? So one way of doing it is adding more personal info, right? So once you get their name and email and, the basic stuff, you want to get more info, like what's their kid's name, their dog's name, what's their favorite activity, like what do they do for fun? Who's familiar with Ford, the Ford concept or Frog? Right?
Mhm.
It's that information, right? So family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, that would be the Ford one. I forgot what frog is gold, right? Goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, you want to start building on how well you know these people. You want to really get to know them, right? How do you do it? You just ask, right? So most people, now let me ask a question. Do you think most people want to be helpful?
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Most people want to be helpful.
Mhm.
So when you ask for help, people will generally give it to you, right?
Mhm.
You agree?
Yes.
For the most part, not everybody, but for the most part. So if you have a reason for asking and you're asking for help, people will typically give you information, right? So I don't know where I learned this script, but I use it quite often, is I'll say something like this, like, my goal is to help 24 families this year, either buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Would you happen to know anybody? Right? It's an easy ask, and I usually get an answer, right? It's the same with asking for their contact info. You could say, hey, I have a VIP club, right? Just making this up. Would you like to be part of my VIP club? And I need to know your birthday or whatever it is, whatever information you're looking for. And when you're in my VIP club, here are some of the things that you can get.
Mhm.
Right? I'm going to send you a monthly newsletter. You get access to my database of service professionals, right? Whatever it is, you can make something up, right? But if you have something of value to offer, you can just ask for it. You guys agree?
Definitely.
Okay. Strengthen your casual connections. Again, same principle. I was just talking about this, if you're at the soccer field, walking up and down the sidelines, great opportunity to have some conversations, right? Baseball field, whatever it is. You have that opportunity to have more conversations to turn them from casual to clients, right?
Mhm.
Or referral partner. Like Andrew's got a great point. Not everyone is going to do a real estate transaction with you, and that's fine, but they could be a great referral source as well,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So maybe like I've got an electrician and a landscaper that refer me business quite often, and they're the ones that see it first, right? So someone hires a landscaper to do a big job, a good cleanup or whatever they're doing. He's going to ask, hey, so what's going on, you guys? What are you doing? What's this all about? And if they say we're going to sell our house, then he gives me a call, right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm. And they feel like a little bit of ownership in it after a while too,
Mhm.
because they're like, oh, did so and so call you? They become like even if you're not giving them any kind of incentive,
Mhm.
you know, you had said you try and
Yeah.
sweeten the pot a little bit. They just
Yeah.
want to be helpful. They really want to go back on that,
They really do.
you know, helping two people out.
Mm-hmm. This is a big one, you know, depending on how social you are or not, joining like a group, like I said earlier, if you're part of a soccer environment, maybe you're on the board or maybe you're a volunteer, you do parking lot duty, concession stand duty, whatever it is. You become part of that little network, right? Or maybe you volunteer for a nonprofit, whatever it is. Or even, I know people that started their own groups, right? So they start like a Facebook group for their neighborhood and create like a little community. Before you know it, they know you're a realtor, they're gonna start asking you real estate questions.
And you'd be surprised at how many realtors are not in that particular group that you might have changed, you might have had a relationship with, or are going to establish a relationship. You know, some will go through the same ones, you know, your animal rescue leagues and things like that.
Mhm.
But you wanna, everyone's unique and you have your own unique sphere of friends and family members. So, you know, it doesn't overlap as much as you think.
Mm-mm. Nope. Well, we had an agent recently. He started with us back in May, I guess. And he relocated from another state, didn't know anybody, joined a local group, volunteered, and got a listing out of it within, I don't know, 2 months. Just by being there and having a conversation. So it is really a good way to network and have people get to know you, right? And again, if there's not a group that exists, create one. There was an agent on the West Coast who started a Facebook group for moms so they could do like play dates and stuff. And then before you know it, that thing just blew up, and that's her primary source of business right now. She gets a ton of business just out of that. Clearly, it took a couple of years to grow, but you know, it was a great idea. Referrals, we talked briefly about that. So again, not everyone is going to do a transaction with you. However, having a referral partner is just, it's just awesome, right? And you know, you want to, I don't want to tell you what to do, but my referral partners, I reward them regardless if I get a deal or not, right? So if they send me somebody, I'm going to send them something, right? A Dunkin' Donuts card, a Starbucks card, whatever it is that I know they like. I'm rewarding the activity, not the result. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody get any ideas on potential referral partners that they could talk to or work with? Yeah, go for it. Jacqueline.
I've got some already, contractors,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
So trying to
So-
build that up too, but
Yeah, and that creates its whole nother list and tags in command of your vendor partners.
Yep.
I'm a interior designer, so I can kind of get some cross
Mhm.
stuff from that too.
Yeah. Jacqueline?
So I'm also a waitress. And
Mhm.
from the previous jobs I've had, since I've posted stuff on Facebook about me being a realtor, someone like from a bar that I worked at like a long time ago reached out. We met for coffee and he was like, you have no idea how many people just talk about wanting to buy a house and no idea what they're doing. So he's already given me 2 potential referrals.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's kind of a silly one, but I mean, it's something. And
Yeah.
I just started off and it was really nice to just have someone reach out and say, hey, like I can help you out. So
Absolutely.
We have a newer agent in our office and she was a server for a breakfast place, and her business is in an ocean community. And it's taken off unbelievably because now she's told them that she's in real estate and she's in 900,000 to over 1 million price points right now
wow,
for
that's
people
awesome.
buying and selling. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yep.
It's definitely helpful to have a business card. I just hand them out all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, a good idea is keep the box of business cards in your car, so you never run out when you're out, wherever.
Yeah, there's a ton of ways too, like, I did this before, and I know a couple of agents that are doing it now, is, they'll go to like their favorite place, like a nutrition bar, right, a shake place. And they'll tag their business in their Instagram post, like, hey, I'm at Cranston Nutrition, here's the latest shake, blah, 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 blah. And then work with that business owner to kind of like promote you as well, right? And I have another person who's doing exactly that, a nutrition place. And the owner is allowing her to set up her office on Saturdays, right? Between 9 and noon. So she's there every Saturday to help people with their real estate needs, right? If they got a question about how to get a loan or how to get whatever it is, she's there as a resource, right? So people are coming to her and she's referring business to this nutrition place, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. Does that make sense?
Great idea,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great idea, right? She's trying to get into the community and make a community presence, right? So
Mhm.
regardless of the real estate question, I'm here to help you. If I can't answer it, I got somebody to help you, right? She's not a lender, but she can find one, right? That sort of thing.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So they're both referring each other business. She's referring business to the nutrition place, right? And vice versa. So you can get creative with referrals too.
Yeah, and you have friends and family that live outside of the state. Here's an an opportunity to refer them to other real estate people in those geographic locations that you may not have a presence in, but that's a whole nother source of income.
Yep. So here are a couple of good, scripts that you can use on your sphere. So you can add more people to it, right? And the first one's kind of like what I said earlier. I'm looking to help 24 families this year. Who do you think that that may be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate? I'd love to help them out, right? That sort of thing. The second one I always ask too, like, I want to train them to say, if someone says real estate, you say Sean. That's it, right? That's it, right? You say real estate, someone says real estate, you say Sean, right? That's really what I want to do with my referral people. Do you have any tricks on how you do this? Not tricks, but
No,
strategies. Yeah.
strategies. Well, I get a lot of business out of my husband's poker game. It's amazing. It's the same 7 or 8 guys, and they're always, I bring them pretzels and beer. That's all. But for the conversation, I think it's just setting up a 3-way text is probably the most reliable. Once you've gotten that answer back, that hey, someone I know wants to find out about what it takes to sell their house. Great. Can I have them? Can I call them, or would it be easier for you if we were to go on a 3-way text and then they've got the introduction of you to me and it's all right there? So that's probably the easiest trick when I do here to convert. People in the business people want to, have a real estate conversation. That's the closest,
That's a great idea. I
Mhm.
love that.
The 3-way text, yep.
Mhm.
Captures it right then and there. If you don't hear from them by the end of the day, you might have had that conversation in the morning. By the end of the day, just shoot them another text. Hey, I haven't seen your text come through. I'm kind of busy. I just wanted to make sure that you hadn't forgotten.
Steve, you have any tips or tricks on that?
Nothing more than what you guys do. Just, keep the conversations going.
Okay.
One thing I did want to add in earlier, when someone calls you and says, hey, do you know any electricians? And you give them the name of 1 or 2, make sure you tell them, tell Joe the electrician that I sent you. He'll take care of you. So that Joe the electrician knows that Steve is sending me leads. Maybe I need to reciprocate to him.
Yep.
And also let these people know, that, hey, I'm promoting your business. I'm letting people know that you're out there and available. So that they'll hopefully do the same for you.
Yep. I do something similar, but with business cards. So it depends on who I'm working with, but let's say it's a referral partner, I'll give them, I don't know, half a dozen cards and I'll write their initials on there and say, hey, when I see one of these come back, I'm definitely gonna call you and let you know that you referred someone, right? So I know who it came from. With my buyers, I do the same thing. I tell them it's a VIP card for open houses, right? So you go to open house, just give the listing agent this card, because I don't want them messing with
Mhm.
my people, right?
Mhm.
And then I have them put their initials on there too, so I know, where it came from. So the business card thing kind of works too.
Mhm.
Oh, even with cold calls, I used to circle prospect, right? And geo farming. If you guys familiar with that strategy? Yes, no? So let's say I had an open house, I would call around that open house, all the homes, like 100 of them. If I had a conversation with someone, I would follow up with a card or a handwritten card, but I would also enclose 3 or 4 business cards, say, one's for you, 3 are for people that you know. Make sure you put your initials on there, your phone number, so when it comes back to me, I know where it came from. Right? It's just ways of getting more activity for you, right? And again, people want to be helpful, so leverage it. All right, any ahas on that section? What could you be doing every day to add people to your sphere? Okay, I can't see the hands.
No new chats.
Hmm?
Nothing new in the
Oh,
chat.
it looked like someone raised their hand. Anybody raise their hand?
The only hand up is yours.
How about cold calls and door knocking?
Yep, absolutely. Who likes doing that? Cold calling and door knocking.
I would love to do it. I can't wait. I am itching to, I'm not kidding.
There, now
That's
talk
not a
about-
joke. That's not a
Talk about
joke.
changing your mindset.
I love that.
it.
It's
I
not a
love that.
joke. It's not funny to me. I'm literally, I would go today if I could.
Good for you.
That's good.
Good for you.
That's good. Yeah. I know.
You know,
Breakfast of champions right there.
And I think that we kind of emphasize in this class that your sphere is your database, but there are, completely cold people that have not met you yet. And sometimes they can be just as
Mhm.
good and viable, not knowing anything about you.
Yep.
But learning about you.
So. I hated phone calls. I hated cold calling.
Mhm.
There's a couple of things that I learned. First thing I did, in Bold, they have this thing called the Bold 100 challenge. You have to make 100 contacts in one day. And, you throw down the gauntlet, I'm in there head first. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I prepared my phone list and cleaned it up, and I sat down one day and actually I had spoken by 5:30 in the afternoon. I had spoken to 99 people. There was only one person left in my telephone directory that I hadn't called. She was a Remax agent. I called her and said, look, we're having this contest. You're my 100th contact. I explained the whole thing to her. And I said, I've been calling since 7:30 this morning. Meanwhile, my team leader is filming this. She can't believe that I'm actually calling on the real estate agent. The lady gave me a lead. Her sister, she lived in East Providence. She lived in the northern part of the state. I'm down on the coast. Her sister wanted a beach house. She's like, here's her phone number. Call her up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah,
things to
you're-
remember about making phone calls. They cannot reach their hand through the phone and slap you in the face. And they can no longer slam the phone down on the desk, because it's not one of those Ma Bell phones that weighs 300 pounds and it's indestructible. It's a $1,000 iPhone. If they smash it, it breaks, and their insurance company will not pay for it.
They quietly click you off.
Yes. Mhm.
But if you don't like doing something, force yourself to do it and then all of a sudden it just becomes routine. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
you'll be another Brian Morris. I can't wait to go out and call those people. They're just dying to hear from me today.
Mhm. Yeah, if it takes 100 no's to get a yes, then
Right.
it's 100 no's to get a yes,
And
right?
that realtor could have been someone that your Remax agent might have decided that the things weren't working out for them. They might have decided that they wanted to hear more about Keller Williams, and maybe this was a new transition for them.
Mhm. Yep.
There's opportunity in that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Brian, you're right. You can door knock and cold call to add people to your sphere too. So it's not just people you casually know. It could be someone you don't know and you're gonna bring them in, right? Have you, well, Steve, you said you got business from cold calling. Have you ever gotten business?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So Steve earlier said most homeowners forget their agent after so long because then the agent never follows up with them. So you could be cold calling and they don't remember who their agent is and they've got a real estate need. It happens.
It's usually the first person they've talked to
Yep.
about the subject.
Mhm.
And they don't go with more than one.
Yep. Yeah.
One realtor.
And when I cold called or door knocked, one of my questions would be, do you know a real estate agent? Or if you were to sell your house or make a purchase, is there a real estate agent you would know to call? 9 times out of 10, it's no. Even though we say, oh, there's tons of real estate agents, most people forget them unless they're related, but
Even then they forget them.
even then they forget them.
Mhm.
So I would always ask that question. If it was a no, then be like, great, now I'm your realtor, right? So let's have this conversation. And they're in my database, like to Brian's point, and I'm gonna keep in touch with them because their real estate agent that served them before is not serving them now, so I'll take it, right? All right, any other things on Sphere? Anything else you can add to your business?
I think we're good. We got
We're
20
good?
minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, really?
Yeah, we're having so much fun.
Oh, all right. We're almost there. All right, so lead gen best practices. Let's go through this one.
Wait, we're going to 11:30, right?
I don't know. Is it
Yes.
11:30?
11:30.
Oh, all right,
Sorry
we got
about that.
45 minutes. Okay.
Okay, talk slower, Sean.
All right. So lead generation, I mean, best practices are you want to track where your leads are coming from, right? Because that's where you're going to want to either double down or get rid of, right? So if you've got a lead source that is just not working or a strategy, you want to dump it. But if you got something that's working, you want to double down on it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Right? That's part of auditing too, right? So you want to not only track them, but then figure out where is your business coming from, right? So I won't ask you this question, but I would ask Andrea, hey, in 2022, where did your business come from? Could you tell me? Was it referrals? Was it Facebook ads? Was it cold calling? What was it? If you know that answer, great, right? Because you're tracking where your leads are coming from. Right?
Mhm.
And you want to make sure that you're spending your money correctly, or not only spending your money, but putting your energy into the one that's going to get you the return,
Mhm.
right? Diversify your database. So we talked about people people you casually know, your tribe. You also want to add people that aren't in any of those, right? Diversify. Reach out to people you don't know or have a different value system, right? Or different interest outside of, let's say, soccer or baseball, whatever it is. You want to add as many people as possible. And the last one is the consistency part. Most agents fall into the roller coaster of income because lead generation happens, then you get business, you get into a contract, all your energy is there, you stop lead generating, then you get to the bottom,
Mhm.
and now your funnel's empty, right? Your pipeline is weak,
And you're running on fumes.
and then you start the whole thing all over again, right?
Mm.
If you're consistent and you do the lead generation daily, regardless of transactions and whatever else you got going on, it's going to smooth that out to more of a straight line or a straighter line, right? So the consistency is really important. right?
I think that's where a lot of realtors struggle because they, you know, when you get into it, you're like, oh, lead, get leads. And then you have all these leads and then you can become overwhelmed. And so that's where, you know, putting things into a system and having, you know, a method is really important in order to not go through that crazy roller coaster ride.
Yep.
So.
Anybody else comments on that?
It's a quiet group.
It is a
today.
quiet group. Okay. So time blocking your lead gen, like Andrea said, you know, we're taught really to block your morning off. I mean, that's the model, the MREA model. You guys know MREA, right? Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Okay. The model is lead generation in the morning. Maybe that's not best for you, or maybe you're a dual career agent and you got to do stuff later on in the afternoon or on the weekends, whatever it is. It doesn't matter when you do it, as long as you do it, right? That's the key. Make sure that you actually do the activity. And again, if you push it off today and then you push it off tomorrow, then you push it off for the third day, you just lost 3 days of lead generation time, right? And as you know, those results show up in 60 to 90 days. So the work you're not doing today is going to show up in a couple of months. You with me?
Yes.
Yes, right? So preparing, right? So I told you guys that I like to do for sale by owners and expireds on Mondays. Well, guess what I'm doing on Sunday? I'm getting my list together. Maybe it's not Sunday, maybe it's Friday or whatever it is. But when I sit down to do my calls on Monday, I already have my list ready. I'm not going to go get my list, then prepare. We call it getting ready to get ready, right? If you're always getting ready to get ready,
You never get it.
you never get there, right? So prepare for your whatever your activity is, right? Have your list ready, get your mind right. Then obviously you need to take action, actually pick up the phone and, you know, start dialing some numbers or texting or whatever it is that you're doing. And then as you're having those conversations, make sure you're taking notes, right? And then you want to put them into your database and then figure out how you're going to follow up. Yes?
Yes, yep.
Okay. This is a big one, right? So I don't know about you, but people generally get distracted pretty easily, right? So the key is to really honor your time. So if you're going to time block your time for real estate activities, lead generation, make sure that you honor it and protect it. And the way you do that is, we call it build a bunker. Everyone's got a different bunker. It could be at your house, it could be at your market center, it could be wherever you feel you're going to be able to be undistracted and focus on that activity. Provisions, so you want to have everything available to you so you don't have to leave your bunker, right? So water, snacks, list of people to call, whatever that looks like, you want to make sure you've got that handy so you don't have to leave or have the excuse that I have to leave to go do something else to stop my lead generation time. Sweeping for minds. Who has an idea what that means?
The dishwasher needs to be emptied. The laundry, the dryer bell just went off.
Uh-huh.
Forget it. You know, if you're working from home.
Yes.
Somebody just walked into the office. I want to see them. I don't know if they're going to be here long. Let me just put this on hold and I'll run out and grab them before they leave the office. Those are good mindsets. I mean, mine.
Anyone else got minds that they could think of?
My dogs, my kids.
I was just gonna say,
Well,
Right.
yeah.
my dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So hiring a dog walker, is that really effective or putting your dog's body clock on a different time frame?
Mhm.
You know, if you're anticipating that somebody's gonna come home and want lunch, make them the lunch and tell them it's in the fridge. It's, you know.
Could a mind be doing one of these classes at the scheduled time you're scheduled to do, whether it's calls, text, door knocking, whatever. Could a class actually be a mine?
Absolutely,
Always a live one.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, who here has notifications turned on their phone? You get a Facebook update, you get an email update, you get a text, you get, right? You all have those on? That was one of my biggest, mine. I just shut notifications off. I put on do not disturb while I'm making calls, because if I see an email come in or a text come in or whatever, I might want to read it, right? But for that hour or 2 hours that I'm lead generating, I don't want to be interrupted, right? So for me, that was key for me. Put it on do not disturb. That way I don't know what's coming in. I shut my email browser off. All of that is off. Because if I see something, I'm gonna want to look at it. Does that make sense?
What if it's one of your clients that are, you've been, and
That is a good question, Brian. My philosophy is there's no death in real estate, right? So that hour that I'm away from my phone, nothing is gonna radically happen in that hour that I didn't call that client back.
And also train your clients that are
Mhm.
already in place. You'll know when there's a situation that has to be addressed immediately that might be time sensitive.
Yeah.
I mean, and that just happens. But
Mhm.
I always train and have that conversation of my buyers and sellers that, listen, I have a certain amount of time that I'm working to get your property sold. So if you don't hear back from me right away, you will hear back from me before the end of the day or whatever time you've already agreed with them to that.
Yeah, Andrea makes a good point. When you're working with clients, whether they're a buyer or seller, setting the communication expectations is a really key part of it, right? So if you say, hey, let's say it's a seller, and I would say to the seller, as I told you, part of my offering is I lead generate every single day to find business, to find you a buyer. So between the hours of 9 and 11, Monday through Friday, I'm typically looking for buyers, right? So if you text me during that time period, I may not get back to you till after lunchtime. Just to be clear. And then I would also ask them, what's the best way to follow up? Is it text, email, phone call, whatever? So thank you for bringing that up, Andrea. That's a really good point. And then the other thing is, yes, there are going to be, let's say a transaction that's very difficult or time sensitive, and like, hey, the closing got delayed because of XYZ. So tomorrow morning, first thing I got to do is, work on this deal. Okay, well, I wanted to do lead generation at that time. Unfortunately, I can't, right? Because I got to deal with this mess. So I'll do my lead gen later in the afternoon. Does that make sense?
You mean just for that one day?
Depends on the situation, Brian. I mean, if I know we can get the thing solved, then yeah. Yep.
Yep.
There are emergencies in
Yeah,
real
life-
estate. There are, and life happens. So again, if you gotta shift and move, that's fine.
What is it? Repair and replace, something like that?
I don't know.
Replace, just because something stepped in doesn't mean you take it off the list. You just replace
Push
it
it
at
out.
a different time.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yep. But yeah, expectation setting is a big one. Your clients treat you the way you teach them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And then enlist support. So let's say, well, who's got an example of enlist support for your time blocking?
whoever's not doing the time blocking with you. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, you wanted to do that Disney trip, you wanted to go to the islands this winter. If I'm not doing the job that I'm supposed to be doing, then we're not going to get to go where we want to go. So whether that is, like Steve had mentioned before, a vision board or, a collective agreement that this is what we're doing and why I'm doing it. That's the support that you need.
Anybody else got an example?
I was told that they're quiet because we're doing such a good job.
Oh, geez.
Yes, you guys are doing a great job explaining, which minimizes the need for questions.
I don't believe that. I like questions.
We are taking notes. I
So,
like that.
all right.
Thanks.
So I'll give you an example of something that that I do. So I'm typically in the market center every day. I have an office here. If my door is open, you can come in and ask me any question you want. If my door is closed, sometimes I'll put a sign, I'm lead generating or I'm busy or whatever. That way there, people know, all right, I can't interrupt him now. I'm gonna come back in a couple of hours when he's available. Right? When I worked from home, I would do the same thing with my children. If the door is shut, unless the house is on fire, don't come in, right? Because I need this, I need that, no, we don't need any of that stuff. You can
Mhm.
wait, you can wait a little while,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, Jacqueline?
I was kind of just gonna say what you said, like shut your door, leave your door open,
Mm-hmm.
in the same lines.
Yeah. So at least the people around you that are more likely to interrupt you, know the rules, right? More or less.
Before
What
we
if-
get,
I have a
Oh, go ahead.
question. I'm scheduled to take a vacation the third week of August.
Mhm.
What if I am completely slammed and it looks like it's gonna dip into that vacation? Should
Mhm.
how do you handle something like that?
Take the vacation.
Yeah, to absolutely take the vacation.
Mhm.
I would, typically agents will find another agent in the office to cover for them while they're away.
Mhm.
So whether you gotta do some showings or, help your seller out or do an inspection, whatever it is that's gonna happen during that week.
Mhm.
Typically, you can find someone in the market center to help you out.
I'm
So,
sorry. I have a
and then-
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, once you get busy, there'll never be enough time to take a vacation, which is why one of the first things when you're goal setting and planning your year ahead or however you're, months ahead, one of the first things they want you to do is to plan your vacation because you deserve the time off. So,
Mhm.
that's a non-negotiable. The vacations are in there just as if it was a lead generating or a listing appointment or a selling a house.
Mhm.
That's in there. That's non-negotiable.
What
So
if
then
it's a
you-
closing?
Yeah.
You have other people handle it.
Mhm.
For the most part, you're gonna be there at your closings. COVID brought us a great gift that the attorneys were saying, no, we don't need anybody but the buyer and the seller at the closings. Thank you, realtors, we're good. But now, we're going back into going to closings, and that's another topic in your Ignite, which is probably, going to be addressed, which is called leverage.
Mhm.
And that's where you're enlisting the help of other people to do things that you are not always going to be able to be there for.
Yep.
So don't worry about that. If you really want to up your business, plan a vacation. If you want to get offers, go stand in line to get on a plane and your phone will be ringing
True
off the
story.
hook.
True story.
It's a Murphy's Law of real estate.
True story.
So, but it won't bother you because you'll be going on vacation making money. That's the best place.
You're dead. Yeah, there's not a call for a month. You get on the plane and bring.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a good question, Brian, because we are independent contractors. We do work solo for the most part. So I would work on finding a partner, someone you can trust, someone who's in your office that you gel with.
Mhm.
And then, you can cover each other. So if that person has the same situation,
Mhm.
you can cover for them while they're away or have something else going on.
Yep. Yep.
And if you get really stuck, talk to your team leader and I'm sure they'll be able to find an agent to help out for you.
Right. And that works for if you're an individual agent or if you're on a team. Jacqueline just brought up joining a team is very beneficial. If you're asking me, your team is always there to help you while you're away. Well,
Mhm.
that's true. But even if you're an individual agent and you don't necessarily want to be on a team, you have a team.
Yes.
You have a team within your market center.
Yep.
So it's a matter of just making those communications go into that.
Yep, exactly.
Before you go on,
Yes.
a while back, Janice asked, where do you get the laptop skin?
Oh, I think it was decalgirl.com is where I got mine.
Decal Girl.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh.
Mhm.
Was it a picture of something real estate related?
Yes, yeah, yeah, it was. Come on, you know me better than that. All right, so any any ahas or strategies you're going to put into your business based on what we just talked about, the time blocking and protecting yourself? Yes. Jacqueline?
Sorry, I'm only speaking because no one else is, so I'm just trying to,
Thank you.
fun. But an aha I have is I have a lot of mines in my house. I recently bought a fixer upper, so whenever I'm not working, I always have something to do. But I think going forward, I can make it a point to go into the office at least 2 to 3 times a week, especially because I'm so new. It'll probably help me, just like anyone you meet is beneficial to you and to them as well. So I could definitely go make it an effort to go into the office.
Good call. I know COVID, kind of changed the rules as far as, doing a lot of stuff remotely and all of that. However, those of us that started the business before COVID learned a lot just by being in the office around other agents,
Mhm.
right? You overhear conversations. Even a big one is they'll be busy and they're like, oh, is anybody available to do an open house this weekend? And you happen to be there, right? It's like, oh, Jacqueline's here. I'll bet let me see if she's available this weekend. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of that happens too. Anybody else? Any ahas? Anything you can implement into your business to protect your lead generation time?
I think we're good.
All right, who's time blocking currently? Like legitimately time blocking? Nobody? Steve raised his hand.
Mhm,
I can't see everybody, sorry.
mhm.
All right, we got a couple of people. Okay, good. I won't lie. For me, it's a struggle,
Mhm.
There are days where I'm really good at it and there are days where I'm just terrible. But it is important and consistency is definitely the way to go.
You want to time block and you want to live in your calendar
Mm-hmm.
and you want to
Yes.
make them live in your calendar. When I was a brand new agent, I would get a text message at 10 o'clock at night. I want to see this house tomorrow at 9, and God damn it, I figured out a way to do it. And then I realized I was killing myself and I could actually turn my phone off at 7 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And people would leave messages. I want to see this house. Can you set it up? You're going to get those phone calls. Hey, I want to see this house this afternoon. Well, that's all well and good, but I have to check with the homeowner to make sure we can get in. Let me call and see what's available and I'll get back to you. You set the calendar. They do not.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And I don't know about you, but definitely if it is not in my calendar, it is not happening. Right. And when I was an agent that had just started out, I double booked myself quite often. I was supposed to be at an open house here or a showing here, and I was somewhere else. And after I'm a little slow, so it took me 3 or 4 times of upsetting a client. I figured out I got to manage my calendar better.
Mhm.
I had one sales manager tell me, but people like to do business with people who are busy. You don't want to be working with that person who's always sitting on the couch, because how hard are they actually going to work for you?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And you're right. Whoever said that, I agree with that. It's like you want to give the busy person the work most of the time.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And Steve's absolutely correct. People honor your calendar. You want to make them honor your calendar, your schedule, right? So
Yeah, just like any other professional. I mean, the attorneys, physicians, they all have their office hours.
Mhm.
So why are we any different? It's a learning curve, I think, sometimes for people, but they'll respect it.
yeah, and as a newer agent, you're hungry and you want the business, so you want to be available and you want to go the extra mile and you want to do all that stuff. And I get it. Like we've all done. I've done it. I don't know if you've done it, but
Mhm.
I definitely, went out of my way or bent over backwards, and blew my schedule up to do something for a client.
Mhm. Yeah.
And over time, you realize that you're better off to protect your time and get your activities done.
Mhm.
Because that situation isn't going away. It's still going to be there in an hour or two,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Now, granted, there are emergencies, there are true emergencies. However, for the most part, time blocking and honoring that time isn't going to really destroy anything. You agree?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And, you know, you can sabotage some special family moments and things like that because you think you had to, you know, go save the world. And it's not,
And-
it's a waste.
And it's safe to tell someone, you know, if like I tell people, I turn my phone off at 7 o'clock.
Mhm.
But if there are bloody body parts on the floor, send me a text. Because you can read a text and not get stuck in a 25-minute conversation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So if they call you because they're freaking out because, oh my God, you know, the home inspection's in 2 days, what am I supposed to do?
Mhm.
Clean the house up. That's it. Just
Mhm.
a quick text. And you're not, you know, because you don't want to get stuck on this, you know, you're all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock at night and you're taking phone calls. And people say, oh, I can call Steve at 9 o'clock at night. It's not a problem.
Mhm.
So if you want to talk to me after 7 o'clock at night, you got to either send me an email or send me a text.
Yep.
Maybe I'll look at it.
All right, anybody else have any ahas or strategies they're gonna implement for time blocking? Building a bunker, getting rid of mines, any of that stuff? Jacqueline says she's gonna go to the office a couple times a week. What market center are you in? I gotta write this down.
She's out of the
I'm in
Beverly
Beverly
office.
but Reading is just as close, and I like the Reading office, so I'll probably be there.
All right, cool. Cool. All right, I think we beat that up.
Massachusetts or New Hampshire?
Mass.
Mass?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a few minutes. If you could just grab your book. What is this, page 56? Page 56.
5.46.
I don't know. We have a different thing than they do.
Oh.
We're gonna take like 5 minutes. If you could just take 5 minutes and write down
Yeah.
some of the takeaways from today's session. What's that? Any
No,
questions?
it is 56. Yeah.
Okay, 56.
What do you think differently about what was meaningful to you? What behaviors can you going forward do differently? What actions, what tools, models, or systems will you use and how will they make you accountable?
Yep. Yeah, so take a few minutes to review this, write down some answers, and then we'll check in. I'm just gonna go on mute while you guys write down and think. All right, we'll give it one more minute. All right, everybody, we're back. All right, so who wants to share any one of these categories? Anybody's thinking or mindset differently now? Are there any takeaways?
I thought it was really good to hear about how people like time block and set limitations on when clients can get a hold of them and stuff, because I know that's something I really struggle with. And I didn't answer the phone, but like I have one client who would constantly call me at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, no, I have like a 6-month-old baby. No.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Kaylee. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mhm.
Well, when you think about it, when you call somebody and their voicemail comes on, what do? Hey, Steve, it's Steve. I got a question about this. Give me a call, please. You
Mhm.
leave a message. And, if they don't leave a message, if you notice that, that I called you and didn't leave a message, hey, I saw you called me. What can I help you with? But do it during your business time.
Mhm. Yep. Anybody else? Anybody got a new strategy, different way of attacking something, a plan of action? Oh, we got some hands raised.
I think Brian's out door knocking.
Uh, Who's got their hand raised? I can't see everybody, sorry.
No,
I wish I was.
It's Judy.
Hey, Judy.
Hi. So I really liked what actions you'll take, like for the office. I like the fact of removing distractions, shutting the door when you're not available, opening it when you are available.
Mhm.
I loved putting my phone on do not disturb while I'm calling. That's a big mistake that I've never done that. And I
Mhm.
constantly do check my emails and texts in between cold calling. So I am really going to try to do that. And just getting myself ready with snacks and water and just moving forward and staying focused.
Awesome.
Jacqueline. has
Thanks,
her hand.
Judy.
You're welcome.
I love that. Hey, Jacqueline.
Sorry, it's me again.
Don't be
I think
sorry. This is awesome.
I'm gonna do better with time blocking.
Mhm.
Just setting a time. Before this course, I did 9 to 11:30, like trying to get all my contacts in and reaching out to them.
Mhm.
But I haven't been able to do that. And I also still have another job at night. So I just need to make sure I set like maybe timers or reminders to just make sure I get that time in
Mhm.
and don't forget.
Awesome. I agree.
How many of you use Google Calendar or something similar? Color code your times.
Mhm.
Red blocks cannot change. Blue blocks can change. So that you put your cold calling in, you put in your follow-up calling in, and you just stick with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I keep going back to thinking about how it was when I was in high school or college. I mean, you had to be somewhere a certain amount of time. You had English, you had math, and then you had whatever economics, and that was not interrupted. You weren't coming in and out. So it's the same philosophy
Mhm.
when you think about it. And you didn't learn in history everything all at once. You just
Mhm.
every other day or every day you you knocked each little section out.
Mhm.
So that's a really good way to think about it.
It is. Yeah, you can't go from 0 to 100 like that. I mean, it takes time.
Mhm.
And what Jacqueline said way early on, having to practice the scripts in the role play, I truly 1,000% believe that that is the key to everything.
Mhm.
Because if you're confident in the words you're speaking and the way you're saying them, the fear of calling or worrying about whether stumbling over your words goes away. And that's like the majority of the challenge, to be honest. I mean, as a productivity coach, that is one of the things I hear most often is, I don't know what to say, and I'm afraid to say the wrong thing, or I'm afraid of not having the answer. The way to avoid that, or the way to combat that, is to practice those scripts and do the role play.
When
would
does
you
that
agree?
happen?
Every market center is different. So it depends, Brian, what's going on in your market center. If they're not offering it, there are other ones. I know that there's at least 2 or 3 Facebook groups
Mhm.
that they do script and role play every single day.
Mhm.
Um,
There's one that I really like. It's a gentleman by the name of Chris Hurley. And he does national scripts and role play. I'm gonna try and put the link in the chat. And then another one for your mindset is James Shaw. He runs a Facebook group and he's also on a Zoom call every morning at 8 a.m. And his is called Pivot Shift Group.
yeah, it's a really good one.
Pivot Shift.
Mhm.
And so those two, the national scripts and role play, you can watch on Facebook. You can watch pre-recording. I think I'll put it in the chat. So.
Yeah, there's tons of resources. And like Jacqueline said earlier, I think you Googled stuff, right? And just found YouTube videos. Yeah. So
Mhm.
there's a variety of ways to do that, Brian. In fact, if you belong in some of the KW groups, you'll occasionally see a request out there like, hey, I live in Indiana and I need someone to script and role play with. Who's available in Central Time? That sort of thing. Or in your market center, even better.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need to learn the basic stuff. I
Yep.
haven't learned anything basic yet. Everything I've learned is pretty much lead generation, but I
Yep.
haven't learned like how to do an open house, how to close a deal, how to do the first sit down. So I
Mhm.
really need to work on the basics.
Yep.
And then all this stuff you're teaching me right now will be great once I know what I'm actually doing.
I gotcha.
I had one sales manager too who said if you can't get someone to do script reviews and everything with you,
Mhm.
record yourself, use your voice memo thing, and he would have me listen to it in the car and everything, listen to
Yep.
it before you go to bed, listen to how you sound in it. Do you sound excited? What's your inflection? And listening to my inflection too really made me change how I do my scripts.
That's awesome feedback, Kaylee. I totally agree with that. You can practice on your dog, your cat, your whatever, just to keep saying it. They're not going to give you feedback, obviously, but you can hear yourself, or if you can record too. Anybody else? Any other things you took away from today that you're going to implement or think differently about? I have one more quick tip. So I think it was Kayla that said someone was calling her at 2 a.m. If I get, let's say it's 10 o'clock at night and I was like, oh, I got to text so-and-so because I totally forgot, or there's something I want to talk to them about. I'll schedule that text. I don't know if you guys know that feature. I know it's an Android. I believe it's on an iPhone as well. So I'll write the text out at 10 o'clock at night. However, I'll schedule it to go the next morning at 8:30 or 9 o'clock or whatever. So I'm not sending them a text at 10 o'clock at night. I got the idea out. I got what I needed to get out of my head, but the text will actually not go to the following day. Anybody else use that strategy? Steve, you do? Yeah.
I don't know how to do that, but I'll look into it. But I also use my phone for reminders, or Alexa, just remind me to text this one or do something. So
Yeah.
similar.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah, whatever.
A funny Alexa story. Remember for those of you that were in the very first class, one of the students was named Alexa. And every time someone mentioned her name, my house it controls everything. It unlocks the doors, it turns the lights on and off, it turns the heat on, it sends it and I had to shut it off
That's hysterical.
because it kept kicking on.
Uh-huh. All right, so how do you guys feel about lead generation now? You got some ideas, got some ways to get people into your database, talk to your sphere? Is that working for you? Yeah?
Definitely, yeah.
All right.
Just
Do
put
it.
that script, check your chat because I just put the scripts link in there.
Okay,
And he's a KW, but it's open to any agent and you'll hear from people all over the country. He's got quite a few followers and then you'll do Zoom breakout rooms. If you want to participate, you can. You can go back on the Facebook group and look at his past broadcasts or lack of a better word, old videos. So it's good. All right.
also, where's the chat? I'm gonna throw this in the chat too. Here's my email address. You guys feel free to email me anytime with questions that you may have about lead generation, whatever it is. I'll be willing to help you out. And I also do script and role play Tuesday through Thursday in my market center. If you guys want to join, you're more than welcome as well. So if you're interested.
I also just put my email address in the chat. If you have any questions about command or technology and you don't know who to ask, give me a shout, send me a text, what have you.
So if you want to be part of my inner circle, my VIP club, send me an email and then I'll add you to my list. How's that?
There you go.
Awesome. Okay. All right. That's all I have, guys and gals. Anything else? Any other parting words of wisdom from anyone?
What's your name?
Sean Emerald.
Okay, I'll send you an email.
Got it. You got it. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go and do your lead gen now, right? Now we're all warmed up, ready to rock and roll. Hope you guys had a great experience, learned some stuff, and I hope you have an awesome day.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Can you hold on just a second so I can write down your email?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sean at
All right. Let me stop recording.
.com. All right, I'll send you an email.